Such a great little bike, this. I just wish physically it was just a little bit bigger for me. Looking at the recent pull numbers, it would seem that I threw a bit of a curveball when I chose the Desert Sled over any of the other 3 bikes on the list, and if I'm being totally honest, it came as a bit of a surprise to me too. Let me explain. If you think back to my 5 bikes for 24 video, I was talking about the Ducati Scrambler 400X being a real contender to replace my Svartpilen 401 due to it costing 2 or 3k less than the Desert Sled and the 701. Both of which are not new bikes, but I still did prefer them. In my mind, I had basically priced them out of contention and forgotten all about them. But that was before I parked the bikes up in the garage for winter, and then I had a moment of clarity. Why not replace Thor and Moose with something that sits between them both, practicality and performance wise? After all, I still have the Street Fighter V2 if I want to go and have a hoon along some A roads. Still, this wasn't going to happen until both bikes were sold, or at least that had been the plan until I spotted a spoke wheel Svartpilen 701 for sale with 0 miles on it. I kept going back to that advert for a few days. The bike was a bit more than I'd wanted to spend, but it was 0 miles and the big bro version of the little 401 with that awesome single cylinder engine. Great handling, distinctive looks and horsepower slap bang between Thor and Moose. The only downsides were that I'd kind of done most of the mods required on Little Thor already, and so would just be going over old ground with the 701. Also, ground clearance was a possible issue. My mate, as you know, is a bit of a knob. Quite often we'll be off down some back roads and he'll peel off down a farm track or a rock strewn shortcut, so I'd have preferred some more suspension travel and height. So after mulling it over for a few days, I must have been starting to annoy Mrs. 01 because she told me to do something about it or shut up. I messaged the dealership about the Svartpilen 701, and that was on Christmas week, so I really didn't expect to hear anything back for a good while. But it was only the next day that I received a message saying they were sorry to tell me that this was an old advert and the bike was long gone. There were a few other Svartpilen with spoke wheels out there, but after seeing the unicorn bike, they didn't seem like such a great deal. So I decided to wait and just keep looking. About 3 days later, my wife messaged me while I was at work with a Firstbook Marketplace advert. It was for a very low mileage Desert Sled, which was well below the price that I'd been willing to pay for the Svartpilen. The only problems were that it was Christmas week, a private sale, and located 5 hours down the road in the Peak District. I sat on it for a day, tempted by the low mileage and the price before getting in touch with the owner. Nice guy, told me all about the bike, its service history, sent me a few more pictures, and he'd obviously had plenty of interest from people who said that they were going to get back in touch after the festive period. That was my chance to get in first. I literally asked when he was available, and my nobber of a mate and I travelled down to the Peak District on January the 2nd. I never planned to buy a Desert Sled. Yeah, I always fancied one, but on my list they were going to be at the very bottom, just because they were more expensive than the other options that I had available to me. The unicorn Svartpilen had raised the price ceiling just enough to allow this to happen, and the winter buyers market obviously helped a bit too, because as we know, prices tumble. Up until that point, I had been 100% targeting a Svartpilen 701. I love that that bike looks so different, and I've hardly ever seen one passing in the other direction. I'd been poring over parts and websites and watching videos right up until my wife sent me that advert. It's weird how your mind works, and it can flip to justify a 180-degree change of mind. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be fun to own and suit what I need it for perfectly. 70-ish horsepower, roomy, good ground clearance, sporty enough for the back roads, can cope with some light off-roading, and it's suitable for carrying some overnight camping gear. All that, and it looks bloody awesome. If I'd been asked to draw a Scrambler as a kid, I'd have drawn something pretty damn close to this Ducati. This is going to make for a great all-round do-it-all bike without me having to go down the full-on adventure bike route and lose my bet with Codger Biker. This way I can have my cake and eat it. I'll show you around the bike properly and talk you through my plans for it in another video. But for now, that's why I decided to buy a Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled.